Hello antique fans, and welcome to my antique channel. My name is Deanna and I'm the owner of Vintage Touch Antiques. Today I have another small collection of mine that I want to share with you, and this time it's my collection of antique kitchen tins, or as it's better known in the antique world, it's the collecting of advertising, and in particular kitchen tins. Now today I've got some notes with me because you will never know how many times I turn off my video only to think, now why didn't I remember to tell them that? So I'm going to try to alleviate that problem today, so I hope that you'll just bear with me when I check my notes. But in the world of advertising, which is a big category of collecting, and so many people enjoy it, there is just a vast amount of things that you can collect, and people collect them for a variety of reasons. For instance, I have a couple of things here that have the name Moyer on it. It is with an apostrophe S there, and my name, our last name is Moyers. We can't, this is as close as we get to Moyers, because usually it's without an S. But a lot of times people will collect advertising just because it's got their name on it, which is a great thing, or family name, or even a place where you might have grown up or that's familiar with you. And as you can see, I've got a couple of these Moyers candy tins that I have collected just for that reason alone. You might collect advertising because it is from your area, like I said, family ties. It could even be color. I particularly like, or I'm drawn to, red kitchen tins because I have a hint of red in my kitchen. And so that's another reason. But like I said, for many reasons, and I have sold antiques and sent them back to the place where they originated simply because people were searching for an antique from a particular factory or a particular town or things like this. So like I said, the reasons for collecting antique advertising is vast. My collection started out with a small number of vintage type of tins, and as time went on, I just sort of fine-tuned it into an earlier look, and again, that was just my option. In the late 19th century, when advertising exploded onto the marketplace as manufacturing took off, the companies put a lot into the design and the visual effect that their containers and things would attract. So they wanted to attract you as the customer, and many times it was just what you saw on a shelf when you went into a general store. So when you go back into the world of advertising, you can see way more elaborateness that went into their display of their product versus maybe what you would even see today, which might be simpler. But advertising comes in all forms, and it can be a tin, it can be a sign, it can be paper as in a trade card, or an advertisement from a magazine and so forth. It can be lots of different ways for advertising. So zeroing in on my collection today of advertising tins, I just want to share with you what I have, because it does invoke some nostalgia whenever you have them. And I have them displayed in my kitchen, and at the end of this video I will put just a short slideshow so you can see these particular pieces on display. So let's just get right into it. Some of the things that I have here. This one is a pure olive oil tin. Not spice. A lot of them are spices, but this one is an olive oil tin. As you can see, it's got that charming early type of design that really, once you get used to it, it's very identifiable, the period that some of these will come from. This one is a spice tin, and it's a Watkins allspice tin. Again, there's lots of different dispense top. This one is a spoon dispense, and condition will determine many times the price. So keep that in mind. Now, and even things that have paper labels will oftentimes command a bigger price simply because, obviously, the paper might be something that doesn't survive. In this case, this is called Golden Key Spices, and it's nutmeg, and it does have a paper label. And some of my things aren't just like mint condition, but I don't really care because I buy them for their charm, and I just like to put them on display. And they don't always have to be in great condition to still display well. Here's one that's also, it's a little bit more, it wouldn't be quite as early. It's a little bit simpler design. This is a French's Sage tin, and this one has the pull-off tin top so that you can just reach down in there with a spoon. This one is a red one, and this would have attracted me probably because of its color and the graphic design. Big Hit Spices, and this is ginger, and it does have your pour dispense cap. I have a little shelf full of smaller tins, and this is one of the ones that is on that shelf, and this is Rich's Canton Ginger. I like this one because I call my husband Rich. His name is Richard. A lot of times people will collect just sample sizes of tins, and I have a few of those little tiny ones, and I've sold a lot of little tiny ones. Here's one that's Hooten's Cocoa, and you can see there against my hand size just how little this tin is. It does have a paper label too. This is another one. This is McCormick's B brand cream of tartar. Again, you can see by my hand the size of this little tin. And LaCroix's cloves with a paper label. Another little sample size tin. Again, like I said, some people just collect because of the size. Here's another one. This is a B brand poultry seasoning, excuse me, and you can see how different the sizes are with the other little B brand that I just showed you. Here's a little bit harder to find one. This one is a Conquest, and it's a pickling spice. And another LaCroix spices. This would not be as early simply because you can tell by the graphics on it. And this is pure mace, and it is a spice, and it's got an unusual dispense top there. And this one is a cardboard container with the metal top and bottom, and sometimes you will find them like that. Now, like I mentioned, that there are advertising comes in all forms, and even in recipe booklets and trade cards and things. Now, my maiden name is Baker, and so I was drawn to this tin because it's made by the Walter Baker Chocolate Company or Cocoa Company. I think it's a breakfast cocoa, but it's a chocolate company. And this little terrible shape, this little, it's just the cover that came from a recipe book. It says choice recipes on the back, but it has the same image there, and it was put out by the same company as the cocoa. So I just had to have that little piece of paper along with my tins. And I've got two sizes of these little Walter Baker cocoa tins. Now again, boxes. See, advertising, and this is a cheese box, and they're very popular, and I sell tons of cheese boxes. And they can be used in so many ways. They're great little display, especially when they're positioned or the top has been taken off and they stand up so you can read the print, and it has the the bottom, I mean the top here is standing so that you can read it. It becomes a great riser to display your tins. Now this one is a royal baking powder, and it has faded, but it is a nice early, very early baking powder. And then I have another red tin. Now this is a large Swift's Jewel shortening tin, and I loved it for the red. It's kind of like it's not really a check, but it has that checker, red check look to it, and that sits on top of my Hoosier cabinet. I have a high shelf over my kitchen sink, and I have up there some other things. This one's on my Hoosier, which I will show in this little short slideshow at the end. This is a coffee tin, the French brand coffee. Here's an early Franco-American coffee. So this one's a very patriotic, and it could be a cross collectible, because someone who collects patriotic Americana might want this as part of that collection. And then this is a paper label coffee can, and again, when you get them with the paper labels, they generally bring a little more money, simply because the paper doesn't always last. And this is Superba. I was going to say Superbra, but I guess it's Superba coffee, and it's got that navy blue label. These pieces make wonderful accents in your home, like I said, and I did do a video on my kitchen a while back, and I will link that as well in the description of the video in case you want to check that out. You can see a lot of these advertising pieces on display in my kitchen in that way too. I also sell a lot of vintage and antique advertising tins, and in my online store, and I will link the advertising aisle or the advertising products in the description of the video for you to check out what I've got for sale currently in my online store. I'll show you a few of things that you might find there. This one is it's a Hostess fruit cake tin with the hinged lid. It's got some wear, as you would expect for most of these things, but it's really unusual. It's got pretty fruit on it, and there's a lot you could do with that piece. Here's a little flat kind of box. Good graphics on this one. It's a tea tin of white rose. Here's a smaller, let's see, it's about, you can see there against my hand. It's a little Nescafe. Got a tag there to identify the number on that one. Nescafe, and it's a 4-ounce little coffee tin. Some of the spice tins you might find in my online store would be the Sours tin. Here's like Ann Page Mace. And here's a Frank's Dove Ginger in red and black. And then I also have some things like, here's a vintage Tetley tea tin. So you get the idea. So if you're interested in vintage or antique tins, you want to check out my online store to see what I may have there. So I think, as I'm looking here at my notes, that pretty much concludes what I wanted to share with you today about my antique kitchen tin collection. I do want to remind you that my antique booth, where I sell my antiques, is located in Antique Crossroads, Hagerstown, Maryland. You'll find my double-spaced booth on the third aisle on the left side of that antique mall. And if you're ever in the Hagerstown, Maryland area, or if you're local, I'd just love to have you stop by. Also would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I really enjoy the comments and the feedback that I get through my channel, and I hope that you've not only learned something by watching my videos, but that you will enjoy them. And finally, as I try to remind everyone, learn the history behind your antiques. Advertising is full of history. You can find out like what the company was. It may be a company that you're familiar with that that has changed over time, and it's just a wonderful thing to see how advertising has changed down through the ages. And also research. Do a little bit of research and you'll find out it'll open a whole new world for you. Because, of course, when you own an antique, you own a piece of history.